Juliet Eden. This podcast is based on my true crime book, The Frog Murderer. These episodes are a scaled down version of the book, told in a slightly different way for audio, so you can enjoy the story here and experience it again in the book. The book also includes colour photographs of Lee taken at the hair salon and inside her flat, the very place where the murder took place. If you would like to find out more, take a look at my website www.julieteden.co.uk. Before I met her, before the photos, before the flat, there was another story, a much bigger one. A story that began decades earlier with a 16-year-old girl and a man more than twice her age, and what happened between them would shape everything that came after. Set up. This isn't just a story about murder. It's a story about control, about abandonment, about choices that destroyed lives. Lee met John in 1957. She was 16, a student nurse working in a hospital in Bedfordshire. He was 31, already married, already a father. There was a power imbalance. That's where it began, not with violence, but with proximity. He was a patient. She was assigned to help him, to guide him, to support him. And somewhere between those moments, the line was crossed. The complex truth, what happened next, depends on which version you listen to, because Lee's account was complicated. She described him as controlling, manipulative, a man who took advantage of her, and she said that their first sexual encounter was not consensual. But there is a contradiction. But then she also married him, built a life with him, had children with him. And that contradiction runs through everything. Reflection, when I first read her memoirs and thought back to what she told me, I kept asking myself how much of this is true and how much was rewritten. First family. At the time they met, John was still married. He had 2 children already. But then Lee became pregnant. Everything changed. She went to his wife and told her about the affair. And that was it. The marriage ended. Consequences. John left his family, his children, and from that moment on, there was no going back. But this just wasn't one life disrupted. It was many. 5 children. Lee and John went on to have 5 children together. 5. A full family. But beneath the surface, it wasn't stable. They moved constantly, never settling, never staying long. New Zealand, in 1965, they emigrated to New Zealand. A fresh start, or perhaps an escape. The decision. And then in 1969, they made a decision. One that is almost impossible to understand. They placed all 5 of their children into kiddie daycare and told them they would be back in a few hours. Abandonment, but they didn't come back. They didn't write. Didn't call. Impact. Those children were left behind. Moved through the care system, foster homes, institutions. And during that time they suffered abuse, neglect. Reflection. This is the part that stays with people, because it's not just about crime. It's about what came before it. 5 children left while their parents started again. cabaret life. Lee wanted to be a cabaret singer, and for a short time it looked like she might succeed. But it didn't last because one night she broke character, stopped performing, because the audience knew that she had left her 5 children behind. Consequences, that moment ended everything. She was dropped, seen as unreliable, unstable, and just like that, the dream was over. Final blow. But even then, they didn't go back. They stayed away for 15 years. 15 years. Return and failure. Eventually, they tried to reconnect. But it didn't work. It couldn't. Too much had happened. Too much had been lost. Final turn. By the time they returned to the UK, they were older, quieter, less visible, and eventually they ended up in Bather, a place where no one knew them, a place where no one would ask questions. Final line. And in 1997, John disappeared. No report, no alarm, and no one looking for him. No one noticing. If you want to see photographs from this story and learn more about what really happened, you can visit www.julieteden.co.uk. Thanks for listening.